Yes, we are moving out of the chateau. And in this video, we are going to be explaining why and when this is going to happen. And most importantly, why this is such exciting news for us as a family, for you guys, and hopefully also for this channel. But let's give you some context first.
6 years ago, we took the biggest risk of our lives. We sold our home in Paris and spent everything we had to buy and restore this 18th century chateau. Our dream was simple: to bring it back to life and to open a guest house as soon as we could, so the place itself could help fund its own rebirth. After 2 years of hard work, we finally opened the doors to our first guests, and for one beautiful season, the chateau was alive again. Then the world stopped. During COVID, we began filming our life here, just to show what it was like to stay at the chateau. But the videos took on a life on their own. They reached far beyond what we ever imagined. Suddenly we were running a guest house, renovating full-time, raising 2 small children, and producing weekly films for thousands of people. When we were finally able to open again to guests, it soon became too much. Both Anna and I burnt out, and we had to make one of the hardest choices so far: to close the guest house and focus on the renovation and YouTube. But this summer something shifted. Renovating only for ourselves started to feel empty, and we both agreed that the best moments here were those when friends and family came to stay, or during our patron gatherings. In short, we missed having guests here, meeting people, sharing this place in real life, not just through a screen. So we decided to change our plans. The old coach house, which was meant to become a workshop and offices, will now become our new guest accommodation. A space to welcome people again, to let others experience what this place means to us, and to bring the chateau back to life, not just for us, but for everybody who steps through these gates.
2 weeks ago we made a video explaining why we scrapped all our plans for the Chateau coach house. Great, a lot of people said how happy they are that we're opening up. We got thousands of comments and a huge amount of messages.
So thank you everybody that did comment, because we read pretty much, I think, all of them.
We couldn't answer all of them, but we read all of them.
Yeah, of course we can't reply to every individual comment, so we thought that it would be interesting to discuss some of the things that came up, because I think it was quite interesting. There was three different kind of groups of thought. I'd say the first one was people who are just super excited and can't wait to come and stay.
Well, the second group was people who were excited, but they said, didn't you close your guest house in the first place because you didn't have enough privacy, given the fact that you live in the chateau and your guests are in the chateau? And yes, that's true. That's what we said. That was one of the reasons why we had to close the guest house.
People were concerned about our future lifestyle, about sharing our family home, because the coach house is still very close to the proximity of the chateau. We loved hosting, we loved having the amazing guests that we had here, but we just felt that we needed to have a space for just us as a family to be together.
We decided that not only will we open the coach house for guests, but we want to reopen the chateau for guests as well. And that means that we will no longer live in the chateau, because it's becoming again a guest house. We have more rooms than we ever had. We, however,
have nowhere to live.
Have nowhere to live. We are homeless. So it seemed like the perfect plan. Reopen the guest house, having more rooms, we move somewhere else. Now, we also love it here. And we thought, well, it's all good. It's financially good. It's going to be an amazing business, but it's kind of a pity if we leave this place that we invested so much money and time and energy, and we love it here.
Yeah.
So how can we stay here without staying here? That was the question. Is it possible?
One thing that is very lucky about owning a chateau is we have numerous outbuildings.
Yes.
And I think it was even one of the things that excited us the most when we bought this chateau 6 years ago. We always said, once we finish the chateau, there's going to be then this outbuilding to renovate and this outbuilding. When we stopped the guest house, we just were thinking, okay, but what are we going to do with all these outbuildings, because we don't need them as a family.
Yeah, we already have too much space in the chateau itself.
But now that we have reconsidered and we are thinking about reopening the guest house, it starts to give purpose to these outbuildings, and it's an amazing way to be able to restore them and save them, because without a plan and without a business idea, these buildings, we can't afford to renovate them. So one of the exciting things that we've thought about is our 2 longhouses.
As a family home.
Yeah.
Which means we still work here during the day at the chateau, in the coach house, in our workshops, with all the projects going on here. So the channel will continue as normal, but we will have guests So our kids have a nice place to grow up as normal kids without having hundreds of people around them all the time. And we also have a place where we can retrieve and retreat and have some time off and relax in the evening like normal people do.
So we think this is the perfect solution. There's still some logistical things to figure out, but
there's a lot of things to figure out.
We're excited about it because we feel like it's the solution to many of our problems about what we can do with the future of this chateau. It will give us a new purpose for the channel. We're excited about renovating more of the outbuildings, especially those two longhouses, because they are really in desperate need of renovating.
It's a 2-year plan because obviously we need to, in order to make that happen, we need to finish renovating the coach house, or could we say start renovating because it became a completely new project. We need to adapt the main chateau again for the guest house business, and we need to construct for us and build for us a home to live. Big exciting project, and we will share the steps with you because I think it's interesting to see how you can make a business to save and keep alive a building like that. Now to the third group of people who asked, according to your plans, there are not enough communal spaces. So the idea for us is to keep the whole first floor of the chateau accessible for all the guests, whether they stay in the chateau, whether they stay in the coach house. And so the chateau itself becomes the communal space for everybody.
I think that was one of the nice things actually, that a lot of our guests were people who followed us on YouTube, and so therefore they had a lot in common already because they had that shared interest. And there was a lot of people meeting each other. It's a bit like when we do our patron days. It's such a lovely occasion for people to meet, and that's what we're really excited about for the future here, is that when people come, they can obviously come for a romantic weekend and have their intimacy or their privacy somewhere. There's a big enough garden and a big enough space. But if you do want, you can get to meet other people here, it's going to be a really lovely space for that, I think.
And now I think it would be nice to have a look at the coach houses and talk about our plans.
Yep, let's go. Are you taking a shortcut? You're going this way. So this is the area here, which is to the side of our chateau. You can just see through the trees. This is one end of the chateau, and this is my favourite tree in the whole property. This is our beautiful chestnut tree. It's a horse chestnut, and we think it's about 400-500 years old. I mean, look how big it is. It's so big. So this is going to help hopefully you to understand a bit the layout of our property. So over here, where the fencing is over there, is our agricultural field. So at the moment we lend this to our local farmer Jerome for his cows. And you can probably see in the distance there is the village church, which is the 13th century church that we've done concerts in. And just, you might be able to see through the trees in front of the church is one of the longhouses. So the great thing about this property is the layout of the buildings means that we've got a really nice sized garden for both the guests in the chateau and also for ourselves here.
These are the two longhouses on our property. A smaller, older one, 15th, 16th century for the oldest part. And this one, maybe 17th, 18th century for the oldest part. But we don't know which one to choose, which one to pick.
And both of those buildings are agricultural buildings, so they've never been lived in. There's no electrics, there's no plumbing, but they're very charming. They have this beautiful, typical Normandy timber frame. So I think there's a lot of character in them.
About 2 years ago, we already applied for planning for these two buildings, which we were granted. And we thought that we could transform them into gîtes. But then it was exactly the period where the prices for building materials in France skyrocketed, and also for artisans. Luckily, that has come down a little bit, so it's a much better time to do that now. The two buildings are amazing. However, this one is slightly bigger, and this one is slightly smaller. The advantage of this one is further away from the road, and even though it's a quiet country road, it feels like this is a nicer place to live, and it's south facing. It is smaller though. This will be the bigger project, the bigger place for us to live, but if you restore it, it's probably also more expensive to restore. So we can share the plans, because we have plans for, at least for this one, we have plans that would be suitable for a private accommodation. When we applied for this one, we were really thinking to make a holiday let, so we would need to change that completely.
With this one, we would need to raise the roof of it, and we were given permission to do that. So we would have to add a metre or so to be able to have a second floor under the roof.
The fashion aware among you might have noticed that I swapped into a green jumper, which practically renders me invisible for Anna, and that keeps me safe from being called into the house to help with the children's homework. That's what I call taking care of workplace safety. But when it comes to online safety, even I need help from a company called Surfshark VPN, which also happens to be this week's ad. A VPN protects your personal information like emails, passwords, bank details, and lets you browse privately by encrypting your internet connection, also blocking ads and malware. Surfshark's encryption is top-grade, following the strictest security standards without collecting or selling your data. Because it creates a secure barrier between you and the internet, just like this jumper creates a secure barrier between me and the household tasks, nobody knows where you really are and where you're surfing from. Which means you can safely access blocked or restricted content without worrying about censorship or tracking. I'm sure you have heard about connecting to a public Wi-Fi can be unsecure, and your laptop or your phone even sends you a warning message if you try to do that. And that's my favorite use case of Surfshark. It creates a secure tunnel and nobody can peek in to steal your credit card information or other sensitive information. So be like me, be safe and invisible. Go to the link in the description or type surfshark.com/Chateau and use code Chateau to get an extra 4 free months of Surfshark VPN. And don't worry, if you don't like it, you have a 30-day money-back guarantee.
You'll notice that on this longhouse we have a thatch roof, and even though it would actually be cheaper for us to replace that with slate, we are not going to do that. We plan to keep the thatch because that is a traditional roofing method in this region of Normandy, and we think that it is what gives this building so much charm, and we feel very strongly about keeping that part of this building. We need to remove all these trees from behind the building because it's really bad to have any leaves falling on top of the thatch roof, because that can obviously cause a lot of moss and mold in the thatch. Woo! So we have to be a bit careful. Oh, sugar. So I don't know if this room was actually ever lived in, because this is the one part of the building where it's got floorboards. It might have been at one point, maybe one of the farm workers may have lived in here. But yeah, so you can see it's quite narrow. And should we have a look in here? We won't be able to go inside because structurally it's very dangerous. Several of these supporting beams have like rotten and just broken. So it will definitely feel much cozier than in the chateau, but whether it's going to be too small,
cozy.
Yeah, I don't know, because the other option is this building here. If I can get in. Ah! Actually, you might need to do it, Philip. Voila.
So this is wider than the other one, but it's also lower. So in order to gain more space, we would either need to lift the roof as well here, like we did with the other one, but then that's a lot of work and very expensive. Or we dig down into the floor, because that's just a concrete slab. It wouldn't be good for living. You would need to open it up probably anyway. Much bigger though. It's slightly longer, I think, but yeah, it would be much more space, but again, much more work. And unfortunately, it's closer to the road. Even though it's a little road, a little country road, you would still hear from time to time a car passing by. On the other hand, the roof of this building is in better condition, so there's not so much urgency to repair this one. This could easily stay another 5-10 years, whereas the other one, I think in the next 2-3 years, there could be more damage. That would speak in favor of renovating the other one first, and then who knows, maybe this could become something else in the future.
So you can see how upstairs there is a lot of space, and we could put some roof windows in.
So two different concepts, very different concepts, the smaller house and the bigger house, the more cozy house, the more architectural bigger house, but how they sit in the landscape is very different. And my personal preference is the smaller house.
I'm really torn, because initially I thought this one just because of the space, and I like the idea it has a view out onto the field. So I think maybe this one, and this one actually needs repairing much sooner. So it would be great to hear what you guys would do. What are your thoughts? Give us a hand in figuring out which one would you restore first for your family home.
This is the existing plan, so that's the front and that's the back. And as you can see, there's not enough space to create a big room upstairs. As a matter of fact, there's only this little piece here, which is 1.80 meters, so it's barely livable up there. And that's why we would raise the roof, and we applied to raise the roof, and that would allow us to create 1, 2, 3 rooms upstairs, and downstairs a kitchen, dining room, a living room with a chimney, a guest room, and at the other end a laundry room. It is a narrow building, but as you can see, you can turn it into something interesting.
So what does all of this news mean for the future of our channel, Philip?
You guys, you will follow each step of our reopening of Chateau Le Fleur, and in the immediate future it means focus on the coach house, but in order to work on the coach house, we need to get the workshop, the future workshop ready, because we need to get all the tools and all the machines that are actually in the coach house into this future workshop. So we have tabula rasa, we have everything empty for all our projects here. And then eventually we will also work on our future home, one of the longhouses. So a lot of content for the next 2 years. I'm super excited, and a lot of planning to do as well.
So let us know your thoughts on all of this news, and if you have any questions that we haven't answered, do leave them down in the comments. We always read them, and we will do a future Q&A at some point where we answer those questions. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week.